We were working in the slum community. We were doing work with malnourished babies and kind of going in and finding these kids that were just really not thriving and then doing nutrition counseling, things like that. And we'd found quite a few kids that were just really severely malnourished. In the context of that, we came across this baby. Her name was Kusi, which in Hindi means happy. And she was 7 months old and weighed only 7 pounds. So it was a severely malnourished child. So we started giving supplements and things like that to the parents to try to help them. Her mother had actually abandoned the family and she was there with her father and being cared for by a 14-year-old sister of the father. And so we started giving them baby formula and trying to help in different kinds of ways, but she was in really, really bad shape. Right at that time, as happens on the mission field, a tragedy struck, and one of my closest co-workers, her name was Dinziki, Northeast Indian. She was kind of like my right-hand person in ministry, and we worked super closely together. She was hit by an army truck while in an auto rickshaw, and she was killed. So it was this tragedy that happened, and I went off to Mizoram for the funeral, and it was just this horribly devastating loss, that we went through in our lives at that time. And I came back from the funeral, and I didn't want to work. I didn't want to do any ministry. I was mad at God, to be honest. It was a really, really tough time in our work. At that time, I just thought of little Kusi, this little baby, and I thought, I just have to at least go check on her. So I somehow got up the strength to just go check on this baby. I knew if I didn't go, she was going to die. And as I was there in the community and talking to her dad, I just felt like we need to bring this baby home or she's going to die. So I called my husband and I said, I know this makes no sense, honey, but I just feel like we're supposed to bring this baby home. He said, well, let's pray about it. We did. And we felt a peace about bringing little Kusi into our home. So we had her in our home for 3 months, and our kids, she was just like this little baby that they helped nurse her and they helped care for her and they bathed her. And then when her family came from the community to visit her, because they loved her dad worked 14 hours a day in a factory. He couldn't take care of her very well, and she was severely malnourished. So he came and we shared the love of Jesus with him. And then he said, can I bring my family? I want my family to see how she's starting to thrive again. And he brought his extended family. We shared the gospel with them. Sitting in our living room, this entire Hindu family came to the Lord, and our kids were right there. They were a part of it. And we kept her for 3 more months, and then she was thriving again. She was back to a normal weight, and we returned her back into the family, started a house church in that home. I tell that story of how, little Kusi, and loving on her, our kids, they loved her back to life, and they got to be a part of seeing this whole family, extended family, come to know the Lord, and a new house church established. And it was integration, it wasn't like ministry was over here and our family was here, and our kids learned how to love people, and we were discipling our children, in that whole process. And one of the principles that God really taught me, which became a life lesson through that, when we give out to others, God returns life to us. And in times of crisis, our tendency is to want to pull away, but we see Jesus, when John the Baptist was beheaded, it says he responded, he went to the crowds. Not to say that we don't sometimes need space or grief counseling or to pull away for a time, but eventually, it's as we engage with people and begin to pour out that he begins to refill. I so much experienced that with little Kusi. This baby would just smile up at me, and that was all she could do in her malnourished state, was smile. She was happy. And that smile brought this new life and really, really helped me as I was processing the grief and the loss that we had gone through, the loss of our coworker.